And we are live here at Scott Stadium. Chris Graham and Scott German. UVA 16, Miami 13. And we could break down stats, Scott. In fact, if you could pull your stats up on your computer over there. We're broadcasting from my laptop. I don't know that the stats do this one justice, though. It's more just about the fact that UVA gets the win and, overcoming a lot in this one. Bryce Perkins, 3 first-half interceptions, and yet Virginia still led 13-6 at the half. And, Virginia led the whole way. The stats wouldn't necessarily indicate that. Miami, I think, will end up winning the stat battle in this one. But Virginia gets the stops they need when they need them. And some bad plays Miami, too. Miami threw, I think, 3 interceptions in this game. 2 penalties on the last drive that kept that drive alive. A really interesting decision on onside kick that backfired with a big return by Virginia. A roughing the kicker penalty on the Virginia field goal with 30 seconds left, and Virginia takes the points off the board. Virginia's Scott. Wild scene here as right in front of us, the students have run the field, fans are on the field. First win for Virginia over a ranked team since 2014. Your thoughts?
Well, we talked about the keys to the game, avoiding turnovers. Well, we didn't avoid turnovers. We had 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions in the first half. I'm sitting up here advocating making the quarterback change, firing the coach, the coach, firing the AD, bringing back George Welch, and thank goodness cooler heads prevailed. Wasn't a classic textbook effort by Bryce Perkins. I'm sure he'll admit to that in just a little bit in the locker room. But this could be a program-defining moment for Virginia football, no doubt.
Yeah, we talked about that coming into the game. I'm trying to pull the stats up on my phone here too. And that's not letting you have them there. Good. Yeah, we talked about this before the game in our podcast this week. This was a chance for a program-defining win for Bronco Mendenhall in his 3rd season here. A good Miami team that was untested, 5-1 coming in, but losing to LSU and really their only meaningful game. They beat FSU, Florida State last week, but Florida State's not playing Florida State level football. So we knew this was an untested Miami team, and yet, you still got to go out there and win the game. In Virginia now, you look at the final stats, Virginia only gains 231 yards of total offense in this one, but they got them when they needed them. And also the defense really setting things up. Juan Thornhill with 2 interceptions, Virginia getting 10 first-half points off of the turnovers they were able to create defensively. And even though Bryce Perkins threw those 3 INTs, Scott, Virginia's defense only gave up 3 points off those 3 INTs, and that was key as well for Virginia to get the stops defensively after those turnovers.
Maybe a game-changing moment. The
Bryce
Hall running down the Scud missile coming out of nowhere.
Travis Homer, a 70-yard run, pointing over to the east end zone. Miami was backed up deep in their territory around the 13-yard line. Homer got through the line. He was gone.
It was a touchdown.
It was a touchdown. We're watching him 30-yard line, 40-yard line, 50-yard line, and Bryce Hall is a speck way back behind the play. Hustle play, tracks him down around the 10-yard line. Miami only gets 3 points out of that. They lose by 3 points.
Right, well, and exactly. They lose by 3. It's a 3-point game. They could have scored a touchdown. They would have.
It's been a 4-point play. It was a 4-point play by Bryce Hall.
Not only the point differential, but just
the momentum.
Yeah. And the effort. That had to inspire the other players, the defense. To see that kid. A lot of kids would have just said, "I don't have a chance."
Oh yeah.
I mean,
he shouldn't have had a chance. No, he should. He didn't have an angle. Usually, you talk about a guy having an angle because he's playing the field position well. Hall just ran that kid down, and Homer is he's a speedy tailback. So, 4-point play there in a game that Virginia wins by 3. You look at the stats, and I'll give credit to Bryce Perkins: 12 of 21, 92 yards, 3 interceptions, runs the ball 21 times, 61 yards. Ugly stats, but he threw those 3 INTs in the first half. Virginia only gets 3 points after halftime, but that was an impressive 16-play, 73-yard drive. That was a lot of his feet, his arm, and it ate a lot of time off the clock and gave Virginia the 3 points that ended up being the difference in this game. So you got to give a kid credit after that awful first half. He was a big part of winning this game in the second half as well.
Absolutely. And, sometimes stats don't tell you all that. Don't always indicate how the game is. And tonight, clearly, this was not a great game offensively for Virginia, but they did the 8-minute drive.
Yeah.
The 8-minute drive that just gave the defense time to catch their breath. Those are critical. Those are signs of a football program turning the corner.
It really is. When you can win a game against a good opponent like this, and Miami 5-1 coming in, they were, number 2 in the country at one point late last season. They were 10-0 late last season. A 15-4 record over the last 2 seasons coming into this game. This is not a slouch Miami team, to say the least. They didn't play their best game either, but Virginia, your quarterback throws 3 INTs in the first half. You only gain 231 yards in the game, and you beat a number 15 team. That's pretty good. I mean, it's one thing to beat a team when you're playing your best. Virginia didn't play their best tonight, and they beat a good team.
Exactly. That was my point. This was not a very well-played game.
No.
But, the effort was there.
The plays were made when they needed to be made,
Plays were made that had to be made. And how long has it been since we could say that about Virginia football?
It's been a while. I mean, we talked going into this game, about how a night game on ESPN, national audience, ranked team in here, first time that would be the case, all those things together in a meaningful game. Since the way I looked at it, 2011, Virginia Tech was in here in a game that Virginia had a chance to, if the winner of that game would have been the Coastal Division champion, and that team laid the big egg, lost 38-0. And that really defined the rest of the Mike London tenure. From that point on, Virginia football, they lost the bowl game to Auburn and didn't have another winning season under Mike London. And I'm not going to say that this win tonight is going to turn things in the other direction. We have a lot to obviously happen between now and whatever that means. But, that said, the opportunity was out there for this team coming into this game tonight, and even not playing, even their C game tonight offensively. The defense does its job, holds Miami to 339 total on the game. 3 interceptions. They knocked their starting quarterback out, not from injury, just from ineffectiveness. N'Kosi Perry only threw, 6 passes? 2 of them were intercepted. Malik Rozier, last year's starting quarterback, pedestrian numbers. He got some numbers late in the game because they were driving down the field, and Virginia was kind of giving them some yards there. Travis Homer, 96 yards rushing, 70 on the one play that didn't even lead to a touchdown. It all adds up. As ugly as it was, that's as pretty a win as I've seen from a Virginia football team in a long, long time.
That's a pretty ugly win.
Yeah.
But again, possibly a defining moment in Mendenhall's career tonight. Just a little disappointing number, attendance, but the crowd was loud. This was the Scott Stadium that we knew 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, the number was around 42.5, which would have been the old Scott Stadium before the expansion. But it was loud.
It was loud.
The students came out in better numbers than we had seen in recent games, and they were loud. They rushed the field. There's still a lot of fans on the field. A lot of those are the kids. I was a kid once who ran the field. The first game I was here, the Clemson game in 1990, was part of a melee after that game, which was a lot of fun. It's fun to be part of something fun, and hopefully this can carry on. Now, next week, Virginia's at Duke, right? And I think we have Carolina and Pitt at home after that.
Got a away game at Duke, and then 3 straight home games.
3 straight, yeah, including the Liberty game after that. In terms of ACC play, I mean, this Virginia team's 2-1 in the ACC now. That Miami team that just lost here was the preseason favorite in the Coastal Division. So the opportunity's there. Let's just put it that way. And this win by Virginia tonight means that opportunity's there for this Virginia team to have some special games coming up later on, including on the road at Duke next week. Now looks really interesting.
And that's going to be key, how we move forward. Do we take a step back, playing poorly, losing down at Duke, or do we keep moving forward? Now the bar's raised a little bit. We talked about it before the game. 3 wins. You're not counting this as a win. Your bar maybe is at 6. We got 4 and 2. Now your bar's at 7, maybe 8.
Yeah,
the expectations are higher.
If you're capable of beating a Miami team with the game we played, especially tonight, yes, you got to set your now. And I was getting ready to say too, we were part of another scene last year. It wasn't a ranked Georgia Tech team that Virginia beat, but when Virginia beat Georgia Tech here last year to get the 6th win, at that point improved to 6-3 on the season, and that got the bowl eligibility thing going. From that point on, Virginia didn't win another game, and wasn't really a factor in the last 3 losses of the season, including the bowl game. And so this team has been in this position before and did not achieve. And I can guarantee you that, okay, they'll celebrate a little tonight. Obviously, they'll celebrate a lot tonight. But in the back of their minds going to bed tonight, and then when they wake up tomorrow morning, they know they've been here before and they need to focus and get ready for Duke, because Duke won today at Georgia Tech 28-14, looked pretty good in doing so. And, the way Duke lost to Virginia Tech, they've got 1 loss in ACC play. Virginia's got 1 loss in ACC play. Those 2 teams are playing next week to have a chance to win the Coastal Division, and so that's going to be another huge game on the line for Virginia next week.
Yeah, and the game last year against Georgia Tech that we won here in the rain, if you look back, a lot of people think that was the pendulum right there, and the air kind of got sucked out. And we put so much effort into getting bowl eligible that injuries started playing a key factor in it, lack of depth, rather. The rest of the season just kind of got away from us. Now, moving forward, we've got a chance to really separate ourselves from that team last year, and I think Coach Mendenhall will use that as motivation.
He's got it's definitely a reminder. Everybody remembers it. Everybody in that locker room who's playing on this team, except for a couple of true freshmen. Tavares Kelly is a true freshman. Obviously, Perkins wasn't here last year for that. He was playing JUCO ball. But they'll be reminded of the lesson, and their teammates, I'm sure, will reinforce that for them. That 4-2 is great, 2-1 in the ACC is great, but there's a lot. This is only the midpoint of the season for Virginia with the bye week last week. I will say a little concerned about Perkins. He's got 5 interceptions the last 2 games. I wonder if there's a book out there on him right now. The interceptions tonight were of the ugly nature. I mean, sometimes interceptions can be tipped balls that just go against the quarterback, and it's not fair. The first was the classic, you don't throw late and over the middle. He threw late, he threw over the middle in the first drive. It was a good first drive, didn't pan out to anything. The second was not quite late over the middle, but it was kind of late, and it was definitely over the middle to a guy that he didn't see that linebacker, I don't think. The third one was an underthrown ball. He had Tavares Kelly streaking down the sideline, but he just woefully underthrow that ball. So I'm, obviously a little concerned. He's got the 5 INTs in the last 2 games, and something to go back to the drawing board and look at, how to correct that. Yeah, and
it could be that he's hit a little bit of a wall right now. I mean, he's not played at this level. This was by far the best team he's ever faced defensively. But yeah, again,
it's a good Miami defense. Yeah,
this is a good.
They were number 1 in the ACC coming in. Yes,
so I'm not saying he gets a free pass, but I think the things that he's doing are correctable.
Because the 2 were just mental. The first 2 were mental mistakes, throwing the ball over the middle. The one really late over the middle. The other was an athletic interception by the Miami linebacker, but didn't see the guy. The third was just an underthrown ball. You can correct that. That's right. Look at the numbers too. Jordan Ellis, 18 carries, 86 yards. That's a nice game for him. I liked. I know we had some criticism of some of the play calling in the fourth quarter, especially on that drive when Virginia, after Juan Thornhill's second interception, there was 2 passes in the first 2 plays of that next drive that Scott, I actually needed to physically restrain him at one point from going down and causing havoc on the sidelines. But, that drive, the field goal drive, there was some really good mix of play calling there involving Perkins. So, again, I said that earlier, but as bad a game as he had, there were some nice moments for him that were really important for Virginia to get those game-winning points. So I guess we'll kind of call that a watch.
Yeah, I think they're correctable. They're going to sit down. They're going to look at the films. He's going to get to see what we can see. It's easy to second-guess somebody from our vantage point. We're high above the play. We can see the whole field. We can see the defense. He can't.
Right.
And but he will. He'll get to see what we see. And I think he's a smart enough player. He'll make this change. He'll make this adjustments.
I think they're getting ready to bring Bronco Mendenhall in on the big screen up here for his post-game press conference. So that'll be a time for us to stop here on this. But thank you for joining us here on this Facebook Live. We'll also make this a podcast available a little later tonight. And then Scott and I will get back together early next week. We'll kind of recap this one once again after we've had a chance to digest. And then we'll get you ready for Duke. So final score from the Carl Smith Center at Scott Stadium, Virginia 16, number 15, Miami 13. For Scott German, I'm Chris Graham signing off. Wahoo-wah.